Here's the once in a decade investing opportunity behind all the super negative headlines that you are reading, and trendlabs.com sums it up pretty nicely. So I'll use that for this intro, and then I'll show you guys some really big macro charts. I'll share how Warren Buffett used this exact setup to create huge dividend income, and at the end I'll show some tickers that perfectly fit this criterion. So let's get started. Everyone keeps trying to compare this environment to 1999. I get it, it's an easy reference point. Huge companies, brand new technology, stocks at all-time highs, sounds familiar. But this is where the similarities end. Back in March 2000, right at the peak of the dot-com bubble, consumer sentiment was at the highest level ever recorded. Let's read that again. Consumer sentiment was at the highest level ever recorded. People felt great, they were confident, optimistic, fully bought in, and today it's the exact opposite, and this is the opportunity we're talking about. Sentiment just hit the lowest levels in history. Guys, people are extremely pessimistic. Look at these charts. So let's start and zoom in on this one. And this is a chart we've shared several times now on this channel because it is so important. This is the consumer sentiment going back to 2007. Here's the great financial crisis. And this is when everyone was like doom and gloom, the end of the world. And that was one of the best buying opportunities for consumer discretionary stocks. Huge rally. COVID, another big opportunity, huge rally. And right now, that K-shape recovery, that soft landing that everyone talks about. This chart to the right, not nearly as relevant, but it says a little bit of the similar story. Double bottom, consumer discretionary, or global consumer discretionary at all-time lows. But this one is the one I want to be focused on, the US consumer discretionary, since that's more our niche. Now, here's the second chart I want to talk about. And this is the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. And you can see every time we get to these lows, we're in the middle of a big recession, and then we have these huge rallies. I think the S&P 500 overlay would have been nice. And actually right now we're not in a recession. I love it. It's just crazy, but that's beyond the point. And you'll see this with consumer discretionary stocks in a second. I'll share some with you. They're all super low. This is the same chart just without all the overlays, but again, new all-time lows. So very, very important to understand the macro condition we are in. The stock market is at all-time highs, but everyone is beyond pessimistic. And that is the theme of this article that we wrote. The core lesson is regarding dividends is that market complacency at all-time highs often leaves high-quality consumer staples deeply out of favor. Nobody wants to buy those boring dividend stocks right now, creating a rare opportunity for bond replacement yields and long-term capital appreciation. I'm going to defy this bond replacement term very simply. Why would you want a 5% dividend stock if you could just get 5% bonds? But we'll address that in a second, and why these dividend stocks are going to be replacing bonds. I want to give you guys a really clear example on how Warren Buffett did this exact trade. And this is still an ongoing trade. So here it is, the Warren Buffett Coca-Cola lesson. By buying quality companies when their yields are historically high due to low stock prices, your yield on basis can grow 15-20% over 10 to 14 years as companies continue to raise their dividends annually. So what does that mean? Let's explore what yield on cost really means. This is the most important concept for long-term wealth. Yield on cost is the dividend yield calculated using your original purchase price, not the current market price. So let's have a 10-year example. You buy a hated staple, which is basically all of them right now, at $20 with a $1 dividend, so your yield is 5%. Fast forward 10 years, the company has performed well and raised the dividend every year. The dividend now is $2.50. The stock price has also recovered and it's $50. The current yield everyone still sees is that 5%, which is $2.50 divided by 50. But your yield on cost is 12.5%. This example, Yahoo Finance, actually illustrates really nicely, and then AI put it together even more concisely. As of 2026, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway is collecting approximately $800 million annually in dividends from its $400 million stake in Coca-Cola. That yields a massive 62% yield on cost, which we were talking about, because his initial investment was $1.3 billion, and now he's constantly getting $800 million. Looking at Coca-Cola, I don't actually think that this is one of those consumer discretionary stocks that I would want to own, because this is one of the few that is just trending up and to the right. And that's probably because Warren Buffett owns it. And also they're just firing on all cylinders. So this yield isn't that exciting, 2.7. It's actually below its 5-year average, which makes me not want to buy it, at least in my dividend portfolio. Let's talk about the macro catalyst creating this generational buy opportunity, because boy oh boy, this is a generational buy opportunity. First of all, there's the Warsh catalyst, because Warsh wants to bring down interest rates, which means people are going to be dropping those treasury bonds in favor of other cash producing vehicles like dividend stocks. That's number one. If you want to learn how Warren Buffett parks his cash in treasury bills, check out this video where we explain just that. Number two is inflation. High quality staples have pricing power, allowing them to grow their dividends constantly and beat inflation. Second, the input costs. Right now there's a spike in raw materials and freight because of the Iran conflict, temporary crippling gross margins even further. So a lot of these consumer discretionaries that we've been following have fallen further. This fourth one is the GLP-1 weight loss, which I've been seeing a lot of headlines on. People aren't going to be snacking anymore. People aren't going to be eating fast food like they used to be anymore. This is total baloney, guys. I would never bet against people snacking. So you have all these generational fears. Coca-Cola is actually doing extremely good. So let's check out Hormel, which is one of those classic snacking companies. In case you forget what Hormel owns, I mean, just look at this. You got Planters, you got Skippy, and just so many other brands. This is a classic example. Remember, we want to focus on buying quality companies when their yields are historically high. Let's go back to Hormel. Click their dividend. We'll zoom in a little bit. Their yield at 5.45%. Historically, at least the 5-year average is at 3%. So we're getting close to that double. That creates a really good buying opportunity. Let's take it a step further. Go to the monthly chart on this one. Let's remove some of these markers, clean up the chart, and you'll see we're below the 200 simple moving average, which again creates a giant buying opportunity. This ticker's down over 60%. I've listed some other companies. Look at Campbell Soup, for example. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Also down, and let's just hide the earnings and markers right now. From their highs around 50 all the way to 20. So again, huge sell-off, finding massive support around 20 where they've had tons of time to consolidate in this area. Guys, multi-decade lows. Look at this. We haven't been in this area since 2013. So this is over a decade opportunity to get this kind of yield. Let's quickly check out their dividend history. Yield 7.59%. That's more than double than their 5-year average. Let's read this line again. Buying quality companies when their yields are historically high due to low stock prices, your yield on basis can grow X, Y, Z. So that is what we are looking for. I listed tons of other dividend stocks that we are looking at. Hormel is actually one of our favorite picks based on our 4-pillar analysis, which we will be coming out with. So don't forget to subscribe. I'll leave this post in the pinned comment below. Let me know what your favorite dividend pick is and why. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And remember, this is not personalized financial advice. This is just sharing what trends we are seeing and what our fund is doing. Thanks for tuning in.